Alright, Diablo 4 players, so what is cooking up in Season 9? Well, Hydras are looking quite great with the brand new amulet here. So, this is a brand new amulet coming out to Season 9, and what it does, it is super awesome, is we're looking at the special unique power at the bottom. All that we really care about is Hydra is now a core skill, so all the bonus ranks to core skills now work with Hydra, so that's a W. And then on top of that, it's always going to summon a 3-headed Hydra whose attacks explode on impact. So you basically get AoE just built into the build here. And then for each head above 3 that it would have, that Hydra head instead grows larger and deals 100x increased damage. So on the implicit of the brand new amulet, it already has casted Hydras have +2 heads. So no matter what, anything additional for the heads is going to go crazy. Now, if you're wondering, well, what's the maximum amount that you can potentially get to on your character? Well, if you go ahead and get lucky with the masterworking, if it's on a one-hander, it goes to 6, but obviously if it's a two-hander, you get to go to 12. So you can have an additional 12 heads, which means, well, you're going to get a massive amount of damage here. That's 1200x damage. Yes, that is absolutely crazy in terms of damage. Even though we're getting a nerf with the key passive, this kind of makes up for it in a sense. And going over other things that I wanted to mention really quick, we do get a different change over here with 2 specific things that are important. So the serpentine aspect doesn't interact the same. You used to be able to get like multiple Hydras here. Now in Season 9, it is going to be changing. The Hydra consumes all of your mana, and it's going to deal more increased damage per mana consumed. So you can actually stack and get a little bit more mana here and there, and that will technically give you additional damage. On top of that, there is technically a change with the key passive, and I want to go over that because some of the stuff that I'm showing you, by the way, guys, isn't updated because it doesn't have the update. This one now has a cap, so combustion is also getting changed here. Also, I should mention the gameplay in the background, by the way, is just something for you guys to visually look at. The new Hydra with the new, like, super mega Hydra that comes out, it's not out at the moment of me making the video, so this video is just basically here so you guys can just see something while I talk about the build. But there is a max bonus of 100x. Now, it used to be like 900, so even though we're losing, let's say, on like 800x damage, which is pretty massive, I'm not gonna lie, but there is also a new update with this, which gives us, again, 1200x damage, which you would normally never be able to achieve. Like, that amount of damage is technically higher on top of having the brand new powers, which is something I want to go over before I go over the core of the build. So there's another few nice things that are important here. So here's what we're running for the Herodic spells. So we're going to be running Propulsion. So this is like the new boss powers for the season, or Herodic powers. The reason why I selected this one is it has the fastest cooldown. And what we're going to be doing, since it spends all of our resource, is we're going to utilize the cooldown on this. The Starfall one has the biggest like effect, but the cooldown is like 3 times as long. So I just want this literally just for, it just activates, right? And when it activates, we get all these other little bonuses. So we're going to convert it to deal fire damage, and then it's going to ignite the enemy so it does more damage. And then on top of that, we run Reactive Ooze. This is why I actually really liked the new boss power system in Season 9. Whenever it activates, which is again towards the end once you upgrade it enough, it will activate every 4.3 seconds. And then it's going to make it so after it activates, we get 20% of our resource per second for the next 10 seconds. So obviously, if it has a 4-second cooldown and it lasts 10 seconds, we have 100% uptime on this ability. And then, oh man, some of the text, by the way, this is why we're using so many websites, is because some websites have a tool that's better than others. But anyways, Frigid Heart makes it so enemies that collide are going to be frozen. So this way we have a source of freeze in the build, and also Chill with the Pet. It just allows us to apply the bonuses that we're going to have in our build. And then we're also running Siphoning Gizmo. So what this does is it makes it so damage from your catalyst has a chance to consume damage over time, and it will deal 140% of the damage instantly. So when we're applying all this damage, it's going to eventually activate, and it's just going to feel like a non-dot build, if that makes sense. But for the most part, it probably does so much damage. Unless it's a boss, you may not have to interact with this. Now, the whole reason why I wanted to play this over Rogue, because that's like my favorite class, is because Tyrant Bane in this just seems like it's crazy. If we have all these Hydras shooting out like crazy, and each time they deal some sort of damage over time, the enemy is going to take 0.33 more damage over time from you forever. And that's after you deal damage over time with any of our abilities. So if we have other abilities that apply a dot, like Firebolt, or again, any of these other things, even this technically applies like a dot damage, they're just going to keep on taking more and more damage. And this is going to go infinitely. I'll be honest, fingers crossed that there's no cap and we just get to have fun in Season 9, but I have a feeling that, like, they're just going to nerf this. They're going to be like, oh, maximum of level, like, 10x or something like that, and that basically defeats the purpose of it. This season is supposed to be the season of dot. They've nerfed literally everything except for dot, and that's another reason why I wanted to play this. And then for our other jewel, jewel is called, by the way, the name of this one is Tyrant Bane. This is like the #1 thing that it's on every single like content creator. We're all playing this thing. This is like a must in every single build if you're doing a dot build. The next thing is this elemental brand over here. So the catalyst gets to deal more damage of the element over 3 seconds. Again, just playing another dot, and then has a chance to trigger its effect to explode again, then it applies another dot. We're just stacking this. The whole thing is just to stack this as hard as possible. Now, as far as the other jewel, I was kind of looking at the other options here. So if we injure or kill an enemy, we get to deal 30x more damage from our summons, which could be applied. There's a few other ones where I could just give you lucky hit chance and crowd control, which could be okay. And there's another one just gives you like main stat. I thought that one was like another really good one. There's Scornful Light, which makes you take more damage, but you get to deal 20x elemental damage, which I thought was pretty good. And then I'm looking at this one also, the Idol from Below. It's just primary stat, more HP, and I thought that was kind of nice. Plus being able to summon those guardians could be pretty big, so I could consider this one instead of the summons. Those are like the ones that I've got my eye on. All right, now for the gear. So for starters, in the helmet department, I would recommend getting a Harlequin or Air of Perdition. Remember, this is PTR. You guys are going to be able to instantly access all of the Mythic uniques, but ideally getting a greater affix on cooldown reduction or maximum resource. Either one is good to go ahead and get, and a Masterwork, as more cooldown lets you kind of spam your skills a little bit more, and as a Sorc, well, cooldown reduction is something you really need in like every build, but also max resource also contributes to more damage. Air of Perdition can also be here, but remember, Air of Perdition is going to make your character a lot more squishy, plus you lose out on that cooldown, which is quite nice. And you don't really need crit for this build, but if you want to make it fit in, hey, go for it. It's just going to be a little bit squishier as you do run a lot of uniques for the build. But Harlequin is going to be what I consider best in slot. Then Shroud of False Death, because it gives you a rank in all of your passives on your skill tree, and that really helps out with specifically Primordial Binding, plus it also gives you resources, which is quite nice. And then again, just like every single familiar build, well, you got to run Primordial Binding, and ideally you get that Masterwork and Greater Affix, as that's one of the best things that you get. You get movement speed, you get damage, you also get mana regen, so you don't have mana problems. Remember, this new variant with the Serpentine aspect, which is changed in Season 9, you have a special bonus to basically delete all of your resources, and you get a % of damage. Again, I know it's not updated here, but it is in here where Serpentine is got this new bonus where it spends all of your mana. So remember, that's kind of what we want to lock in. I was also looking at Yen's Blessing because it gives you resource gen and resistances, and also like cast a skill automatically. This is like another cool thing that you can fit into the build if you want to. Yeah, we definitely want this because Primordial Binding. And then I was thinking, if we want to play defensively, you can run a normal pair of pants and run whatever defensive aspect you want. But Tibalt's is quite nice because it gives you maximum resource. Also, pretty much if we can just weave in a teleport every once in a while or any other like defensive skill, we're able to get that nice little bonus of that 50 resource. And remember, we're going to constantly have extra resource generation, especially with all of the familiars going out. But getting more max resource equals another damage multiplier, which is kind of nice. Plus, it gives you another source of damage over here. You could also throw in some of the powers if you want to run Unstoppable, which is quite nice. And then I'm running Orange Herald, so we can spam in on our ultimate. The ultimate that we're kind of looking at is going to be the Fire Ultimate, so we get more damage here. And then if you want to run a completely different, unique pair of boots, hey, there's a lot of really good unique pairs of boots in the game now, or any other aspect, that's fine. But yeah, run whatever you want. You do have the ability to get extra lucky hit also if you want to temper that on, but it's not that big of a deal. All right, now for the important stuff. So configuration is in every single like burn build, and you don't have to run the Incinerate, by the way. How this is activated as far as the enchants go, Incinerate, you just need the enchant, and it's gonna it's spawning the little like serpent, and it's gonna count as you using Incinerate. If that does get updated, because I'll be honest, it kind of feels like a bug. If they update it, I'll just swap another aspect. There's so many other ones, but that's what we run over here. And then the important thing, you want to make sure that you temper in on casted Hydras have plus heads. You can get a total of plus 12 heads, which is crazy. Remember, if you're running 2 one-handers, though, it's going to be 6 apiece. But if you're running a one-hander, it can go to 12. But another thing that's important, you want to try to get something where it says lucky at chance to restore primary resource, as every single time you cast Hydra, you want to be at the maximum resource. I'll have to wait and see kind of how these bigger Hydras feel. I don't know if lucky hit, if it explodes and hits multiple enemies, if it counts a lucky hit for every single one. We'll have to wait and see how it kind of registers, as it is technically newer. But as far as it goes, that could be something that you may want to consider. Again, chance to restore primary resource, so every single cast you have is always going to be at max. And then for our other offhand over here, and the reason why I'm running a offhand instead of like a two-hander for like big aspect on Serpentine, which would be 5%, which is great actually. You also lose out on max resource if you don't play an offhand. It's kind of up to you what you want to play. I always like having the offhand because I feel like it makes the character look cooler. And then on top of that, you also get the implicits on both of the items. Although technically the implicit is larger on a one-hander, I just like the feel of it overall. And then we have, again, chance to restore primary resource, so we can always keep on casting at max resource so it can drain everything. I was actually considering a Cax rune as well in the build if you want to try to fit that in. But then we run Ring of the Star of the Skies as well as Tall Rashas. So you can get actually anything here. You get lucky hit is totally fine. Then you get the attack speed. There is a thing where you can get some crit. It's not like absolutely terrible to get crit in the build, as it just lets you have a little bit more front damage, but you could actually masterwork anything. You can actually crit anything and it's totally fine. But I'd say the best one is probably attack speed and core skills. As far as the amulet goes, Ophidian Iris is the amulet. I can't put it in the little planner here because it doesn't exist, but here's the main important things. You don't really need to go into crit with it. The most important thing is that special unique power rolls 100x, because if you have 12 heads, yeah, it multiplies on every single one of those. So that is the key thing to get in Season 9. Obviously, if it's PTR, just keep on rolling. You'll eventually get one that's 100. That is the most important thing. Don't worry about the rest of the things. Pyromancy is all additive, whatever. Devouring Blaze is cool, but crit strike chance doesn't really matter that much. It's not that bad, because again, it gives you front-loaded damage, and even though you're not really scaling it, just like any build, you can get like 30-40% crit without even really trying in the game. It's just that like all your stuff, when you get the Paragon nodes, well, it kind of just slowly adds up. But as far as the runes, we run Nagu Vex for plus ranks to skills. I like this a lot because it helps out with the ultimate, which also gives cooldown reduction, plus it gives you ranks to everything. And then we're running Igniset. The Spirit Wolves will count, and it'll count towards your limit. Permanent Binding is absolutely amazing. And they also apparently apply a chill, which I actually just learned, which is kind of cool. They don't really do DPS though, okay? They're actually terrible, but there's just kind of utility, and it gives us the ability to activate Nagu because, you know, summons, which is great. And then as far as the skills go, we run Hydra, Familiar, Inferno, Lightning Spear, Ice Blades, and Teleport. I cannot play a Sorc build without this. This is like my big crutch on it. Now, currently in the rank 1 variant, they actually play no defensive skills. This is technically for Season 8. Obviously, Season 9, things are changing up a little bit. And the reason why I decided to throw in Teleport instead of running the one where if we play no defensive skills, we get bonus. The reason why I like that, or like swapping that out, is you have to play this amulet. The build does not function without it, so you have to drop something in the build. And if it was anything, well, I was going to go ahead and make sure that we could squeeze in Teleport now that we don't need to run that no defensive skill one, because Teleport, it feels good, and you also get damage reduction with it, which is great. As far as the gems go, there's not really anything important. You can run damage over time or any other offensive one, then skulls, so you can max out your armor, and then that's pretty much it. As far as the skill tree, let's go ahead and make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see it, just in case you're in mobile. So the most important things with this in the very beginning is Firebolt, by the way, is our other enchant, so it's going to automatically shoot a Firebolt when we just do burn damage. So you don't have to manually add it to your skill bar, which is great because I don't really like pushing other buttons. I just want to shoot out my Hydras and do big damage. Remember, Hydra becomes a core skill. This is something that's in the brand new unique. And then we also have Devastation here. More mana equals more damage. I love this one, just giving us damage reduction. And then we also, I liked one point into this, it just gives us a barrier like in the game. And then Glass Cannon, just like every single Sorc build. And then obviously it's a Hydra build. We will go for specifically burn damage. This is a damage over time build. You could maybe try out Invoked Hydra, but this is the season of burn damage. But I actually wouldn't really mind going for this. It would kind of shift up the build a lot. I will probably make 2 versions of it, and I'll let you guys know which one is better when it comes out. And then we get increased lucky hit chance because it gives us resource. But on top of that, we have the Ice Blades. We're getting this for extra attack speed per Ice Blade, and we have to put points in it. We don't need to put points in Lightning Spear. Harlequin will just give it to us for free. And then we're getting this, when we activate cooldown, we get a bunch of Barrier and Primordial Binding. So this is why it's so good. We get 60% summon damage. We have 60% movement speed and 120% mana regen, which is absolutely wild. And then, again, keep in mind, this is with 3 points in. Imagine with, well, getting all of the things, you know, the greater on the gloves and masterwork. Yeah, this is why Lightning Spear was just so good for so long. Like, you just stack so much of this, and then you get extra damage reduction over here, and then we get extra damage while healthy. I like 1 point to this just for the mobilize. It's kind of nice. And then we have Devouring Blaze. Now, you could opt to go for this again. This is kind of different because remember, we don't want crit damage. We just want damage over time. And then as long as we have a Frost Kill, which is Ice Blades, we just get extra damage to vulnerable. We want to max out Inferno because it has 50x damage right there. And then elemental synergies, as long as we have for each skill that we have equipped to the type, and then it's doubled if it's all the same, but that's good luck doing that. It's just another multiplier that's free. And then this, we get to do increased bonus damage, and it's increased to enemies affected by more damage over time. You can actually slam more points into that. It depends on what you need. Oops, I can't do this here. But I wanted to mention in the very beginning, this is a very small multiplier, Soulfire that is. In the very beginning, I would say Soulfire can be good just for that mana, but then just put 1 point into this, or if you want to put more points into this and remove some survivability, like the extra damage reduction or any of these ones, feel free to go and do so. I would actually recommend maxing this out later because it gets you X25 later down the line with it. And then over here, we just get this for cooldown reduction, and then we're getting Combustion. Remember that it is taking a pretty big nerf. We go from, like, at the higher end, it's like 900x to run a really, really min-max build, but then obviously, that is like towards the very premium end, and now it's 100x is the maximum. So you're going to reach this real easy as far as the bonus goes, but now we have a maximum bonus of 100. But it's not really that big of a deal when you get a 1200x multiplier, which is pretty dang massive. Now, as far as the Paragon board, this is what we are going to be running. So, in the very beginning, we get Tactician over here. This just gives us extra damage for after we use a defensive skill, which is going to be Teleport, and it's increased for another bonus duration for each other defensive skill not under action bar, which is like Frost Nova. But we only play Teleport now because we don't have room. But if you want to fit in the other ones, it's totally fine. You can still play the other ones. It's really not even that big of a deal. It's like using every single build now. And then we play Pyromaniac to get extra bonus damage. I know it has like cold damage, but we get what's called non-physical damage on just everywhere, and it just counts enough. It's so easy to reach. It's a joke. Anyways, next up, Fundamental Release with Torch. So when we apply burn to an enemy, it just ramps up, and then we just get extra damage over here for burn. And then with Burning Instinct, we go on to Elementalist. So our burning damage gets increased with the damage with fire bonus. Again, non-physical will count towards this limit. And then for the very final one, we get Flame Feeder. So our Conjurations have reduced mana cost, and they deal bonus damage, because it's all Hydra, of the amount of your bonus with fire, lightning, and cold up to 60x. So you're just going to get the 60x there. And then over here, we just get increased directed damage to burning enemies, and then we get to deal increased damage to burning targets. And obviously, it's just going to be, everything's going to be burning from all of like the little like powers and all these other things that we went over. But yeah, this is what I plan to play. Hopefully this guide gets you guys somewhere started. Let me know if there's any other cool things that I missed out on in terms of cooking up the build, as this is kind of like a beta build. It's PTR, but I want to give you guys kind of something to think about playing, so you don't go into the PTR going, what should I play? I want to say that this is probably going to be one of the top tier builds. The reason why is it's already cleared 100, and even though we're taking like an 800 multiplier nerf, there is like a 1200 plus, and then on top of that, we also have the boss powers, and I think these boss powers are going to be stronger. It's specifically just this one. This is like the main offender. I almost feel like that this is what's going to make it the PTR fun, and then I feel like they're going to nerf it. But Blizzard, if you're watching this, please don't nerf this. Just leave this alone, and I think we got a pretty cool season. Because remember, these Hydras are shooting out so many, fire bolts, and then we're starting burn with, like, the fire bolt. If you want to play Firewall, that's another option. It's just another button to push, and I kind of like a smooth experience. But if you want to drop Teleport, and then throw in like Firewall, you can get another 25x damage. But like the fact that you have all these other sources to it, like it will make that thing ramp up. It's going to be awesome. Anyways, that's what I plan to play tomorrow on the PTR. If you're new here and you want to see it in gameplay, you know, subscribe, turn the bell, and you'll definitely see it. This is the first build that I'm playing, by the way. Let me know, guys, what you plan to play at the start of PTR also. But anyways, take care. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.